Hello everyone, today we're going to look at two low profile graphics cards. We're mostly going to be looking at the Nvidia K620, but we're also going to take a quick look at the Firepro 3900 to see what they can do in Windows XP. Let's get this old Optiplex fired up, then we can take a closer look. Hey, we got there. So I'm upgrading from the Firepro to the K620. Let's have a quick look at the specs of the Firepro. So yeah, we're going to be using TechUp for comparisons. Let's have a look at the GT1030, another low profile card. I know this card doesn't work in XP, but yeah, we can see it completely wipes out the Firepro. Quick look at the actual card then. The old low profile Radeon HDs and Firepros look pretty good. Right, let's have a look at the specs of this build. It's an old Optiplex 745. So we're going to be testing these two cards on a Q6600 Core 2 Quad, running at 2.4 gigahertz with 4 gig of RAM and a old mechanical 1 terabyte hard disk. So yeah, Mirror's Edge is fairly playable. I mean, if it runs this, it's going to run pretty much anything in XP. We'll come back to it a bit later and compare it with the K620, but let's move on. Right then, let's remove the catalyst drivers, shut down, and then we can take a look at the Nvidia card. So here's the second card we're looking at. It's the Nvidia K620, the 2 gig of RAM. It just about beats out the GTX 745 and is just below the GT 1030 on performance. So it's coming a GTX 1050 Ti box. I've got a couple of these now. Every card I order on eBay seems to come in these nice boxes. I don't know where they get them from. But yeah, let's have a look at the card. So let's have a look at the differences of the K620 from the Firepro. Looks like the cooler and fan is slightly overhanging. I'm not sure what that's doing really, just blowing air into nothing. Probably not going to keep it any cooler, is it really? Let's get this card changed over and see what it can do. So on the Nvidia site, it doesn't actually have any official drivers for the Quadro K620. So we're going to have to search the internet and see what comes up. So yeah, I checked it out before I bought it, and I found these drivers on Driver Pack Solution. They probably just had the INF file modded so that the K620 is added into it. Let's download them and give them a go. Yeah, so the drivers didn't really install through Nvidia Installer. So what I had to do was basically force the drivers through Device Manager. So I'm going to show you how I did that, and then we can move on. So the drivers are already installed here. The only difference if you're doing it from scratch is it would come up with something like VGA compatible device rather than knowing what the card is already. Forced drivers might affect the performance of the card. There's bound to be things missing. So because of that, I'd probably recommend the GTX 745 over this card. They're quite close in performance anyway. So yeah, the 745 is going to be a better card for Windows XP. Still, this should be one of the best Windows XP low profile cards. Definitely more powerful than the Firepro and still pretty close to the 1030. Let's take a closer look at the card, then move on to some game tests. So this card came with a full-size bracket. I had to switch the low-profile bracket from the old card. Just the retaining screw was out of place, but it didn't really affect anything. Final benchmarking Mirror's Edge between the two cards. The K620 did come about 10 to 12 FPS higher than the Firepro V3900. You can't really see much difference in the video, but overall I do think it's a bit smoother than the Firepro. So the Firepro's performance is good enough for most games in Windows XP. Unless you were going to do multi-boot with Windows 7 or Windows 10 and play much more recent games, then I'll probably stick with a cheaper card. Can't see really justifying the price of the higher cards, and that maybe if you're playing like Crisis or want a specific game you knew would lag with it. So I'll leave you with the K620 running a few games and benchmarks. If you want to see me test the card in Windows 7, Windows 10 or Linux, then leave a comment. If you enjoyed watching this and want to see more, press the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.